Hello, my name is Daniel Kotz. I'd like to talk to you tonight about the concept of budgetary slack. I want to talk about what budgetary slack is, what leads managers to build slack into their budgets, what are the implications of budgetary slack, and if those implications are negative, what steps can be taken to reduce the use of budgetary slack. I've created a short PowerPoint presentation for you to follow along with. There's room for notes on every page. Should be fairly helpful. So let's get started. First, what is budgetary slack? Budgetary slack is the process of artificially inflating expenses or deflating revenues in a budget to make that budget easier to meet. Managers like to build wiggle room into the budget to make them easier to achieve. If you look at the reason for what many budgets are used for these days, it's actually fairly easy to see why managers do this. A lot of budgets are used for performance evaluations, even promotions, and most budgets are used for bonuses. If you meet or beat your budget, you're going to get a bonus. With those incentives, it's pretty easy to see why many managers have incentive to build that wiggle room into the budget, make it easier to beat so you can get those incentives. So that's why. What about the implications? Well, by definition, budgetary slack, you've created something inaccurate. A budget is supposed to be a planning and forecasting tool, and you've artificially changed. You've increased revenue, increased costs, or decreased revenues to make the budget easier to achieve. So by definition, is inaccurate. I think that's a negative thing. In addition, it can lead to underachieving almost. Managers are going to work down to an artificially reduced, deflated budget. The negative implications of budgetary slack are fairly well accepted. There are some, however, who believe that budgetary slack is a good thing. There's a study done in 2010. Authors of the study based their conclusion on the fact that meeting or beating a budget will produce good feelings. And you're going to want to replicate those good feelings, so it's going to lead to increased effort. In addition, budgetary slack will lead to reduced stress. There's not as much stress about meeting your budget. While I will not argue that those are a good thing, increasing effort and reducing stress are definitely a good thing. On the whole, I believe that budgetary slack is a bad thing. The positive implications brought up are based on human behavior, human feelings, which are never predictable, I guess. And, again, they're not wrong, but they're not really measurable. The negative implications of budgetary slack, on the other hand, are more palpable. They're quantitative. You can measure how far you reduced your budget to create that wiggle room. They're easy to measure. I believe overall the implications of budgetary slack are negative. It leads to inefficient use of resources and skewed expectations. So with that conclusion, I guess, that they're negative, what can we do about reducing budgetary slack? As I mentioned, many budgets are based for bonuses. Bonuses are based on budgets, and that leads managers to build slack into the budget, get that bonus. Many companies have gone to basing a bonus on how close you get to a forecast, not how far you beat the budget. They want to see how close you are to the forecast. They want that forecast to be accurate. That's the purpose of a budget, it's forecasting and planning. Another thing that can be done, make budgets more about learning and planning, less about evaluation. Final thing is doing a rolling budget. A rolling budget is a continuous budget. As a period is ended, it falls off the back and a new period is added on to the beginning. Like I said, continuous budget reduces the opportunity for a manager to create budgetary slack because the data remains fresh. So, in conclusion, budgetary slack, I believe, is harmful to an organization. Like I said, skews expectations, inefficient use of resources. But budgetary slack can be reduced through thoughtful planning and changing the way you think and your strategy about business, the way things are done. Thank you.